Hello guys, my name is Aziz and I make games. And guess what? You're about to witness my very first YouTube video. Today we're taking on an insane challenge. Can I make a game in just 1 week? So buckle up and stick around till the end because you don't want to miss a single moment of this wild ride. To make a game, all we need is 1 onion and a pinch of salt. Haha, just kidding. But seriously, what's the secret ingredient for building a game? A killer game idea. So, like any normal person, I jumped on Google and started browsing every game I could find for inspiration. But after hours of endless scrolling and scratching my head, it hit me that I've got to cook up my own game idea. Alright, here's the game plan. Our character is a simple round player in the game, and right at the top, there's a finish line. A bright green goal you must reach to clear the level. But that's not all. Along the way, you'll find shiny coins scattered throughout the level. You've got to collect every single coin if you want that finish line to turn green and declare victory. Miss even one and well, keep trying. Now let's talk movement, the heart and soul of our game. When you tap center on the screen, our little player leaps straight up. But if you tap on the left, it jumps to the left at an angle, tap on the right, and it jumps right. And we call this a dash style movement. But wait, here is one catch. The moment you release your tap, gravity kicks in and pulls our player back down. So you'll need rapid, precise taps to keep ascending while dodging obstacles that are just waiting to stop you in your tracks. And if our player crashes into any of these obstacles, boom, game over baby. So get ready for a test of timing, strategy, and a whole lot of fun as you guide our fearless player toward that green finish line. Let's see if you can beat the odds. Alright, now that we have our game idea locked in, it's time to fire up Unity. Now if you're wondering, wait, what even is Unity? Let me break it down for you. Unity is basically a game engine where people like me spend hours struggling, creating amazing games. So I went ahead and created a new 2D project in Unity. For now, I've given it a totally random name, -2D game. Sounds cool, right? Let's get started. So as soon as I opened Unity, the first thing I did was create a circle. Yep, just a plain old circle. Why? Because for now, this is our player. Then I added a collider to the player so it can actually interact with other objects because physics exists. Next, I created a square and gave it a collider as well because this square is going to be the ground where our player will gracefully land, or more likely crash into. Now comes the fun part, adding physics to the player. And let me tell you, physics and I have a very complicated relationship. The moment I added physics, gravity kicked in and boom, our player started falling down. Perfect. Now to make our player actually move, I wrote a tiny bit of code, trust me, just a few lines, and attached it to the player, and just like that, our player started moving when I tapped the screen. Wait, what? How is it moving like this? A few tweaks here, a little debugging there. And finally, our player now jumps properly in the vertical direction. Not just that, when I tap on the left or right side, the player moves in that direction too. And with that, our player movement mechanics are complete. But there was one tiny problem. While the player was moving like a pro, the camera just stood there like a lazy intern. So to fix that, I wrote a camera follow script because obviously, we want the camera to keep up with our player's epic moves. And voila! Now the camera follows the player smoothly, making the game feel way more dynamic. Now with the movement and camera mechanics in place, it's time to make this game even more fun. As you all know, a game without obstacles or enemies feels incomplete. It's like a pizza without cheese, just sad. So to spice things up, it's time to add some deadly obstacles. I quickly jumped into Unity, created an obstacle script, and after some magical lines of code, our obstacles are ready. And guess what? If the player collides with an obstacle, they'll crash, which means try again. Alright, time to make this game a little more interesting. First, I added collectibles. So I created a diamond-shaped object in Unity and gave it a nice, shiny yellow color. Of course, just adding diamonds wasn't enough. So I wrote some code to handle diamond collection, spread them across the level, and added a score system that keeps track of every diamond the player picks up. And to make things even more challenging, if you don't collect all the diamonds, tough luck, the level won't clear. But wait, there's more. What happens if you smash into an obstacle? Yep, you guessed it. Now failure actually feels like failure. But don't worry, you can always try again. So everything is working fine, but the game still feels a bit plain. We need to polish it up and make it more visually appealing. But here's the catch, I've already spent 4 days on this. So now we need to speed things up and add some cool finishing touches. First up, the player death effect. Right now, when the player crashes into an obstacle, they just vanish. That's boring. So to make it more exciting, I added a particle system to create an awesome death explosion effect. A few tweaks here and there and boom. Well, not boom, but you get it. Now when the player crashes, we get this cool particle burst, making it way more satisfying. And to amplify the impact, I added a slight camera shake. Because what's a game death without a little drama? Alright folks, now it's time to add sound effects, because without them, the game feels lifeless. Think about it. When a game reacts with unique sounds for different events, it keeps the player engaged and makes everything feel more immersive. For this, I used a free tool called BFXR. And let me tell you, it's a goldmine for creating retro style sound effects. Just a few tweaks and bam! I had a full set of custom sound effects ready for the game. Now, the finish line. So far the game can fail, but it can't really be won, which you know is kind of a problem. So I added a square and stretched it out to transform it into a finish line and wrote a bit of code to make it work. But there's a twist. The finish line stays red until the player collects all the diamonds. No shortcuts here. Once all diamonds are collected, the finish line turns green. Only then can the player complete the level. Sounds tricky? Well, that's the point. A game is only fun when it's challenging, right? Alright, the game is looking pretty cool now, but if you look closely, the player and obstacles are still just basic squares and circles. Not exactly exciting, right? So to make things more visually interesting, I jumped into Photoshop and started drawing some proper graphics for the game. And hey, no one will judge my drawing skills, okay? After some quick designing, the player and obstacles were finally ready. Now the player looks like this in the game. Next up, it was time to add some actual levels to the game. Because let's be real, what's a game without levels, right? So I designed multiple levels, each with increasing difficulty to keep things interesting. But just adding levels wasn't enough. I also threw in some moving enemies to spice things up and make the game more challenging and fun. And now after all these addition and chungniks, here's how the game looks. Pretty cool, right? Wait a second, I just realized something, and you guys didn't remind me either. This game doesn't even have a name yet. Instead of overthinking it and breaking my brain, I decided to keep it simple. How about Sky Bouncer? No, let's go with Ball Hopper, because well, there is a ball which hops in a game. Genius, right? And with that, our game is finally complete, and all of this in just 1 week. Honestly, making a game from scratch with my own idea was super fun. But if I'm being real, my brain is now running on 2% battery. Oh, and before we wrap up, here's a quick question for you. Did you know why did the game developer go broke? Because he used all his assets. But hey, look at this. The game actually turned out pretty awesome. It looks great, plays smoothly, and is both fun and challenging. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment if you like this game and want to play it. If enough of you comment, I'll upload the full game so you guys can try it out yourself. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.